Through the prayers of our Holy Fathers, so Jesus Christ, our God, have mercy on us and save us. Amen. Good evening. For those new here, my name is Father Joseph Swaden. I've worked in Orthodox apologetics since 1998 and the founder of NFTU, True Orthodox and Ecumenical News, since 2004. We've been in the apologetic space on Facebook since 2016 and on YouTube since 2018. And if you appreciate what we do here, please like and subscribe. Today we do our live Q&A session where you can get your questions answered live as well as member requested video reviews. So let's get started. And as always, if you want to jump on stream to ask a question, make a comment, issue a challenge, etc., just click the link at the top of the YouTube chat or click the StreamYard link in the X chat. And I'll be taking super chats from the YouTube chat. And if you want your question or comment without super chatting, I'll answer it, but you might miss it if I don't put it up. So let's get started here. I'm taking a look. Don't see anything in the comments yet, but that's fine. Sometimes it goes slow, sometimes it goes fast. It just depends on the day and how things are going. I don't know about anyone else here in my part of Pennsylvania. It was really hot. Got close to 90 degrees, and it's going to be hotter tomorrow. So we're getting summer weather a little early. Let's see here. Austrian Orthodoxy says, "Hello, Father. How has your week been? Today is an interesting day since it is the 19th anniversary of the 2007 false union." Yep, that's correct. And it seems like just as we're hitting year 20, there are some serious questions that are now developing about it, especially with the current brouhaha that has developed over the Holy Father Seraphim Rose. If you've been watching my my Twitter, it has been very, very busy and kind of crazy. Lot of stuff going on. I actually am going to be on the Mahler broadcast, which I was on last week. I'm going to be on that again tomorrow, and then after that, I'm going on another channel. What's that? His name was. It's been busy. Let me see here. John Dirk's channel. Who is that's another Protestant commentator. He wants to ask questions and do the compare and contrast between True Orthodoxy and World Orthodoxy, and that'll be on Tuesday at 8:00. So it's going. Stuff is moving along. As always, as I mentioned, it is a live Q&A session, which means if you want to jump on stream to ask a question, make a comment, issue a challenge, tell me I'm dumb, just click the link. And let me see here. Other than that, just getting started here, just setting up. You notice I only had one round of music today. That is because I got in and it was already getting a little bit on the late side. But I'm going to go over the little Rogue Core MP brouhaha because of the fact that no less than public orthodoxy, and as you know, I have excoriated public orthodoxy many times for being liberals, but they are finally calling the Rogue Core MP to account in terms of who they really are. Are they really this? Are they has the traditionalism of the Rogue Core MP finally, as we have always said here, become total and complete pretense? And are they riding on that as a publicity stunt? So I'm going to pull that up because it's crazy, a crazy good article. Let me see here. Hold on. I just need to set the goal. It has been a crazy week. So while I'm setting this goal, please keep in mind, I'm actually $300 down because over the past month, I've been having to replace the tire, and I started getting to the habit of using the used tires. And what ended up happening was I ended up going there for front tires, and then the next week for back tires, and the next week for back tires again. And I'm like, okay, this is not working. I should just get new tires with guarantees on them. So I got 2 new back tires. So there went $300. So that is why I'm currently setting the goal at 300 just to make up for lost time, etc., lost money. And as always, help keep the lights on. Support us by subscribing or donating at NFTU.net with various options like PayPal, Cash App, BTC, LTC, or XMR, or on Give, Send, Go. Just look in the description. All right. Are they both on YouTube? Says Austrian Orthodox. Exactly. What is their YouTube name or at? Yeah, absolutely. Let me get that for you. Also, Father, I've been thinking about our current circumstance in true Orthodoxy and comparing it to our past, and I wanted to ask you in particular to the moderate versus rigid position. Okay, ask your question. Father Antonio says, Christ is risen, truly is risen, and don't forget, this Thursday is the Feast of the Ascension, 40 days after Pascha, where Christ is officially no longer simply risen. He has ascended. There's no real rule about saying he is ascended. Indeed, he's ascended. Some people do it, but that's just out of habit. I don't think that's actually a thing. Let's see. Could you perhaps delve in the comparison and give some idea of the more moderateness of ROCOR at times versus other true Orthodox? That's really a hard question, and I would really defer that to continuing ROCOR people who had, the ones who had life experience in ROCOR beforehand, because the ROCOR, as I remember it, before I joined the Greek Old Calendars, was a very strict body. Like, they took the rules and everything very, very seriously. And in that, they weren't really that different from Greek Old Calendarists or other true Orthodox. They were just, you would occasionally see things about like the Synod and Resistance, but for all practical purposes, they weren't like endorsing the World Orthodox on like behind their backs. I mean, a couple of priests were, but for the most part, they were like, we are ROCOR and that is it. So, I mean, ultimately, that is the problem. Austrian Orthodoxy says, also, what do you think of Lucifer of Cagliari? Is he a schismatic or was he a bishop of the church? I've seen one or two saints imply he was schismatic, while others just saw him as rigorous but Orthodox. As I understand it, he was originally Orthodox, and as the Orthodox parties began to coalesce, he refused to recognize any of them, and so he kind of isolated himself even from other Orthodox. So by the end of his life, I don't know that he was like a schismatic so much as just a party, like the head of a party that existed. And ultimately, after his death, it kind of collapsed, like within 1 to 2 generations, and they just went back to the other Orthodox. So that's kind of what happened there. Because remember, or keep in mind, when we talk about Lucifer of Cagliari, there were already 3 other bodies that were Orthodox, not counting the Arians. So there were, and there might have even been one more. The point is, these were all competing sees of Antioch. So when people say like, oh, well, you never see 3 archbishops of Athens, yeah, actually you kind of do in that situation. You see 3 patriarchs of Antioch. So yeah, you do see that. But yeah, as for Lucifer of Cagliari, from what I understand, he was respected among the Orthodox, but then eventually he just rejected communion with all of them altogether. And then kind of completely isolated himself. So we have seen that in a couple of groups in more recent true Orthodox history. Austrian Orthodoxy says, interesting. Thanks for the info, Father. Where could I read more on this info before you go over into your segment on ROCOR with ROCOR MP? All this information, you can find the basic rudiments of it in the tripartite history. I know I've mentioned that before, but it really does cover the 300s to the 600s very well. So you really want to, look there. And also you can find that in different fathers who wrote correspondence to it. The easiest way is to just look up for, the documentary correspondence concerning Lucifer of Cagliari. Give me a second. Let me see if I can find that. Let me see. Okay, so it looks here like some of Lucifer's surviving works, which were all written during his exile, were directed against Arianism and the reconciliation with heretics, including correspondence like the letters to Constantinus II. These were written in the form of speeches. Correspondence with Florentius, who was the emperor's secretary. There were treatises like major works included Morindum Esse Pro De Filio, the necessity of dying for the Son of God, and on those not sparing those who commit offenses against God. So you would want to look that up. Let me see if I can find a bibliography in the wiki. Most of them appear to be Latin, and there is evidence that the Church of Cagliari did actually celebrate his feast. Two archbishops of Sardinia wrote for and against the sanctity of Lucifer of Cagliari, and apparently the Roman Church attempted to silence that issue because I guess he was considered a saint for a long time. So, yeah, let me see here. So that is an interesting piece of history. Yeah, I would just look up Lucifer Cagliari's bibliography. Most search engines and even some AIs will find that information. Let's see here. Which book is the, forgive me for asking this one more question, which book is the tripartite history and who is it by? Remember, it's called tripartite because it is actually 3 histories. So give me just a moment. Okay. Give me just a minute here. Mm-hmm. One more moment, please, as I look this up to see if I can find one that I can share that is online. Let me see here. Yeah. It is, let's see, the histories of Socrates, Scholasticus, Sozomen, and Theodoret. Now, let me see if I can find where those. Let me see if I can find it because those are actually usually found in the church history. Let me try. Hold on. ccl.org. We're going to try fathers. Okay. All right. So if you look on ccl.org fathers, I'm going to share my screen here. But the Nicene and Post-Nicene Fathers Series 2. Give me one moment and I will put that up on the screen. So go to ccl.org/fathers. And you will notice here in Series 2, these first 2 volumes contain Eusebius's history. These first 3 volumes, I should say, because Eusebius's history is not generally considered part of the tripartite history. It's Socrates, Sozomenus, that's volume 2, and Theodoret. And then there's also Jerome and Gennadius. Those are obviously not part of the tripartite history, but they're useful as well. So if you follow the second and third volume at ccel.org/fathers, that is the tripartite history. You will find a whole bunch of great information to work with. So let me just remind you, if you're trying to figure out how to get to that, it's through here. And then again, you want to look for Socrates, Sozomenus, and Theodoret. That's volumes 2 and 3. Let me see here. Okay. Joel Yo says, question, as Jesus is the firstborn of all creation, Who do you think is the second born of all creation? Um, I don't think about that question much because firstborn is a reference to a ranking. In other words, our Lord, the Logos, is the first. He is God of God, light of light. He is a partaker of the divine essence of the Father. There's a meaning to the term firstborn that like God doesn't have like a family up there that he's like ranking his second kid, third kid. Like that's not happening. So it has a specific meaning, and I would recommend if you have a concordance, looking at what the firstborn's role was in the Old Testament, so on and so forth. That phrasing is very specific and for a reason. Thank you. Traditional Western Orthodoxy Bishop Enoch says, Christ is risen. Truly he is risen. Thank you for the donation. $25. Really appreciate it. Helps keep the lights on. Thank you so much. And let's add that on. So thank you for that. Traditional Western Orthodoxy. And so, thank you, Vodika. And let's put that here. So that is 25. And we are updating. We are. Yes, we are. Okay. Let me see here. Wait. Okay, wait. Whoa, he did it again. Okay, yeah. Okay, Socrates, Sozomenos, and Theodoret. That's with a member chat. Remember, if you are a member, you get your comments on the screen without a super chat. All good, and thank you, Father. And now also Bishop Enoch. Yes. And Debt to Compromise says, truly is risen. The Father Antonios. Let me see here. I was just interested in the subject on Arianism and Lucifer Cagliari because while I'm not well read on it, I feel the situation would help explain more with our recent history of moderate versus rigid. To some degree, it does. It especially helps background-wise to understand when you hear people saying, oh, well, your churches are all divided, little sects, so on and so forth. Like, that's what the church looked like in the year 400. And it only got worse like 31 years later, because then you had Nestorians and Monophysites. So it's not an easy picture at all. But yeah, reading the history will give you a much better outlook on not only the past, but our present and future. Let me see here. JOLEO says, be careful about donations online. Can't really tell if whoever donated is actually a child of God or not. Open payment links leave a free window for Satan to sow money. The person who donated twice is actually one of my synode's bishops and somebody I've known for years, so I'm very grateful to him, and I'm pretty sure he is definitely not a servant of Satan. That is a question we ask of new people on the stream, but not accusing. But anyway, so let's see. Let's see here. And so let me update first the banner, because thank you so much, Vodika Enoch, Traditional Western Orthodoxy. So that puts us at 50, and now we are down to 225. Because we had a goal of 300. Wait, yeah, we had a goal of 300, so we're down to 250. Okay. Hold on. Doing math. Okay, so we have to reach the goal of 225 total and then we will stay for an extra half hour. So if we will stop at 10:30 unless we get to 225 total, and if we make the whole goal, we will stay until 11:30. So just so you know, so the current goal is now 250 total. We're currently at 50. If we can hit another 175, we will stay until 10:30, and until 11, excuse me, and if we make the whole goal, we'll stay till 11:30. So let us continue. Again, if you want to get the tripartite history, volumes 2 and 3 on the Nicene and post-Nicene fathers. All right, so let's continue. We have more comments. We have questions and comments. Remember, it is a live Q&A stream, so if you want to jump on stream to ask a question, make a comment, tell me I'm an idiot, just click the link. And so let's see here. All right. Francois Dada Dasa says, Father Joseph, does true Orthodox accept or reject St. Gabriel of Georgia, the Fool for Christ? Well, you're presuming Elder Gabriel is a saint. So that's a choice. Remember, he was only glorified by the Georgian Patriarchate about 6 years ago. That said, he lived an exemplary life. Um, he was famously one of the what were known as, I've noted this before, one of the drunk saints, um, which means that he covered himself with alcohol to give the impression that he was a drunk and be ignored by authorities. Um, there were other saints like that in the catacombs. I do know that Patriarch Elia gave him a house at the end of his life. I don't know all the circumstances around that, so I would say that he lived an exemplary life, but I do not know if any true Orthodox have glorified him. But one can piously hope. I've not even read his a lot of the things that they have on him. Unfortunately, there's been a lot of propaganda, and sometimes people have been lifted up for the wrong reasons. So we'll see. Austrian Orthodoxy says, unfortunately, he seemingly died in the Georgian Patriarchate. By the end of his life, one of his close spiritual children, a monastic, said he severed communion. Interestingly, so that's an interesting, detail. Though he remains uncanonized for us in true Orthodoxy, as there isn't much evidence to support the case, he was truly Orthodox. Seemed the Georgian Patriarchate caved to Sergianism in 1940, sadly. Yeah. So again, I'd say it's more of an open question. I know a lot of people do have a devotion to him, and I know that based on what we have seen of his life, he's very similar to a lot of true Orthodox saints in that area. So maybe, let's see here. It says here, Austrian Orthodoxy says Gabriel of Georgia used to be a non-commemorator for a while as well, and the Georgian Patriarchate was mostly out of communion with the other patriarchates until the 1990s, though the Sergianism issue is, exactly. So let's go once again. Let me see here. Trying to remember if I took all of my medications. Yeah. Yes, I take medications for a variety of illnesses. Let's take a look and see what else we've got. All right, so that leaves all the comments right now for now. And let us continue on. Let's see here. So I'm going to put up the thing that Public Orthodoxy talked about, which was crazy. Okay. Hold on. This and all right, so let's share this instead. This was a shocker. People who know me know that I generally have nothing positive to say about public orthodoxy. However, they got this one 100% right. And this is an article called Canonization and the Act of Betrayal by Sergei Chapinin, who's a well-known Roquefort writer, or at least used to be a Roquefort writer. I'm not sure if he is now, but apparently he's now the director of communications of the OCSC of Fordham University and chief editor of the Gifts Almanac. So let's get through this. Canonization and the, quote, act of betrayal. Now that's an interesting choice of wording. Let me see here, and I'll see how big I can make it. There's a picture of Father Seraphim Rose, who is the kind of the central subject. And for those wondering where this article is, I am going to include a link in the chat. Give me a moment if you're more of a reader than a listener. Yeah, those darn Fordhamites, like I was not expecting I would ever be endorsing a Fordham article, but here we go. All right. The opening of the canonization process for Father Seraphim Rose has become one of the most discussed Orthodox news stories of the past few days. Now, it is worth noting, give me just a moment. Yeah. It is worth noting that before we get too deep into this article, the reason, and I've said this before, and people do not quite understand this, the reason that they make such a big deal about the canonization of Father Seraphim Rose, and they have been for the past few days, is because late in November of 2024, the Rokor under Metropolitan Agafangal, known as the Continuing Rokor, actually one part of the Continuing Rokor, one of the largest parts, they glorified him already. And you see, so he's been listed as a saint for about a year. It's just that it's going all over the place. People are seeing more icons of Saint Seraphim. They literally did the whole thing like a year and a half ago, and too many people are asking questions. And Rokor, Moscow Patriarchate, Rokor MP, is in a stuck position. Here are all these icons. People saying the Rokor glorified him, pictures, so on and so forth. And they're kind of being left out. So, with more and more people asking the questions, there became a bit of a, for lack of a better word, a brouhaha, if you will. And why is Father Seraphim being supposedly glorified? And it turns out he was glorified by the Rokore. And Rokore has quite a few bishops. I didn't notice that. It's a 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11. Okay, so there were 11 bishops present at the meeting. I think they have something like 16 bishops or something total. But the whole point is, so the Rokore has a lot of bishops, okay? So the point is, like, when you hear people going, oh, well, there's some tiny sect or something, they're not. Like, they, own, half the Rokor churches in South America and so on and so forth. So they did this, glorification back in November of 2024. So people keep asking the people in the Rokor MP about this glorification. We don't want to be left out. So they kind of did a non-glorification glorification claim. They had a meeting in Munich about 2 weeks ago. Let's switch them back. And then, they announced that they were in the process of glorifying Father Seraphim Rose. The Union of Orthodox Journalists in the American branch announced that he had already been glorified, and that led to its own brouhaha, if you will, where basically, the Rokor bishops were like, no, we didn't actually glorify him yet, but we're going to. And then, Bishop Irenee Steenberg came out and was like, don't read their paper or any papers. You can only trust things that come from us, because it's Bishop Irenee Steenberg, and that's just what he does. That's what he do. Okay, so this opened up the public claim that they were going to glorify Father Seraphim Rose and the Rokor MP, and this became a whole topic. And so it says, the opening of the canonization process for Father Seraphim Rose, 1934 to 1982, has become one of the most discussed Orthodox news stories of the past few days. Many voices have rejoiced at the prospect of the first native-born American canonized, a formulation that is itself open to question. In Munich, in early May 2026, the Council of Bishops of the Russian Orthodox Church outside Russia, Moscow Patriarchate, received the report of Bishop James of Sonora on the life and veneration of Higher Monk Seraphim. The bishops acknowledged, quote, the righteous course of life of the late monk and blessed the further work towards his glorification in the rank of saints. This is not yet the act of canonization itself. It is, however, a public declaration that Rokor is moving along this road and intends to continue. From this moment on, the conversation cannot remain at the level of pious affection or emotional sentiment. Rokor has every formal right to glorify its own clergy, hence why this is going to become controversial, as any other Orthodox church does. On first hearing, therefore, the questions raised below may sound strange, even inappropriate, but in this case, that instinct is misleading. The decision to move towards Father Seraphim's glorification forces Rokor to confront the inner logic of his own ecclesiology. And it is precisely here that the Synod may have stepped into a trap. Why this is so, or how a few lines in one of his best-known books expose the problem, is what this essay will try to show. In an earlier essay in The Wheel, I suggested that Roquefort is now opening the way to a political canonization, responding to a specific demand for ideological orthodoxy in the contemporary American context. The textual problem considered here shows how deep that problem may run. At its center stands a small but theologically explosive passage from Orthodoxy and the Religion of the Future. It may look like a minor philological curiosity, but placed alongside Roquefort's present self understanding, it becomes something far more serious. Now, I will say this, if I may, the event that they're going to discuss, and that is the changing of the changing of what's the word I'm looking for? The changing of the text that is coming up, and I'm going to just let me see if I can find this. I'm going to try doing it this way. Nope, not live. Oh, it might be live. I'm not sure. I don't think so. But I am double checking. Yeah, here it is. So, if you really want a little more detail on this, which I'm about to do, there is a we did a video on it, and it is called Orthodox Ethos New about the Father Seraphim censorship, which I'm about to get into. But if you are interested in knowing more about the background of that, you want to watch this video, but we're not going to get there yet. Okay, so the basics are here. And it says here, in the fourth edition of Orthodoxy and the Religion of the Future, published in Platina in 1979, 3 years before Father Seraphim's death, he speaks of an, quote, unknown number of true Orthodox Christians who have not bowed the knee to the spirit of apostasy. Many of them, he says, follow the bishops of a few Orthodox jurisdictions that, quote, have taken strong stands against the apostasy of our times, the Catacomb Church of Russia, the Russian Church outside of Russia, the true Orthodox Christians, old calendarists of Greece, end quote. Others remain in different jurisdictions, grieving over the more evident apostasies of their hierarchs, yet striving to preserve the fullness of orthodoxy in their own life and teaching. These, quote, 7,000, united by God's grace, will, he insists, undoubtedly be joined to genuine holy orthodoxy. They are foundations of the future single orthodoxy of the end times. While, quote, outside of genuine holy orthodoxy, the darkness only grows, end quote. The textological weight of this fact should not be underestimated. A fourth edition, prepared at the author's own monastery by his closest brethren, could hardly have admitted any substantive change to so theologically charged a paragraph without his personal consent. This is the latest version we can attribute to Father Seraphim himself with confidence. One fact that Father Seraphim takes for granted but never spells out should be kept in mind here. None of the three churches he names was at that time in Eucharistic communion with the great majority of the world's local Orthodox churches. The ecumenical patriarchate, Moscow, and other canonical patriarchates stood, in his eyes, on the other side of a line. And the line itself was drawn not over a marginal question, but over what Father Seraphim regarded as the gravest danger to orthodoxy in the 20th century, ecumenism, which he calls in this very book the heresy of heresies. His genuine holy orthodoxy, then, is not simply a faithful subset of the Orthodox world. It is a holy remnant, defined not by what it confesses, but by what it refuses to encounter. The internal logic of the list deserves a moment of attention. Two of the three churches, Roquefort and the Greek Old Calendarists, had taken an unambiguous and explicitly anti-ecumenist stand. Their refusal of communion with the wider Orthodox world was deliberate, doctrinal, and public. The third member of the list, the Catacomb Church, did not participate in the ecumenical movement at all, but for an altogether different reason. Driven underground in the Soviet Union with its bishops imprisoned, executed, or hidden, it had no opportunity to do so. The Catacomb Church earns its place in Father Seraphim's list, in other words, not by an articulated theological position, but by the historical accident of its impossibility of participation. And that is what makes the list so revealing. Its unifying criterion is not a positive confession, but a single negative test: non involvement in ecumenism, whether by conviction or by force of circumstance. That test alone for Father Seraphim was enough to mark the boundary of genuine holy orthodoxy. I'd like to take a moment to interrupt here because I think the implication is that the catacomnics would have gotten involved in ecumenism if they had the chance. I don't know that that's universally true, and history doesn't bear that out, but I'm not going to get into that right now. So let's continue reading. In later printings, however, most notably in editions after 2004, the paragraph is significantly softened. The vivid list of true jurisdictions disappears. The language about people in other churches being joined to genuine holy orthodoxy is trimmed away. What remains is a far more generic statement that God preserves a holy remnant, that these 7,000 form the foundation of orthodoxy's future unity, and that outside genuine orthodoxy, the darkness grows. The overall tone remains anti-syncretistic and apocalyptic, but the concrete ecclesiastical map has been blurred out. For a serious reader, these two versions amount to two different ecclesiologies. The latter redaction, in effect, replaces a more radically in ecclesiology with a more inclusive one that accommodates the Orthodox majority, quote unquote, rather than excluding it. The problem is there is still no clear public answer to the basic textual questions raised by this discrepancy. Which version is genuinely Father Seraphim's own? Who decided that the text could be revised, and on whose authority? Perhaps future archival work in Platinum will clarify the history of this passage. For now, however, there is no such clarity. Under those conditions, intellectual honesty obliges us to take the last version published in Father Seraphim's lifetime, the harsh one, as the most reliable witness to his own mind. This earlier version is brutally uncompromising. It draws a line not only between orthodoxy and, quote, the religion of the future, but within the Orthodox world itself, and draws it very hard. Only some outside those three churches he named will be saved at all. The rest stand at best in partial darkness, awaiting eventual incorporation into genuine holy orthodoxy. The 7,000 exist in other churches only to be gathered in the end into that same narrow circle. In other words, the ecclesiology of orthodoxy and the religion of the future already anticipates the ideological orthodoxy described in my earlier article: a tightly bound holy remnant, sharply distinguished from a surrounding world of apostasy. Now, if you give me just a moment here, because then I have a little fun as we continue. Let me see here. And I'm going to go back to my channel and go to a recent post. Stop the thing. Said stop. And I'm going to just put on the main True Orthodox map and remind everyone that this book was written in 1979, where it talks about the True Orthodox of Greece, the Russian Church abroad. In 2026, however, this is just one of two large True Orthodox maps with hundreds of parishes all over the world, throughout many parts of the Orthodox world, all over the place. This map you always find in the description. It's one of two large maps like this. When Father Seraphim wrote Orthodoxy and the Religion of the Future, he included the True Orthodox of Greece. By 1981, he learned about the True Orthodox of Romania and Bulgaria. And so even at the time he passed, he was already seeing the growth of the True Orthodox throughout the world. Now, why do I bring that up? I bring that up because of the fact that when people are thinking about, like, oh, I don't know, should we hide out and vanish into nothingness as we try to make sense of where we should be in Orthodoxy? It really is not that complex, guys. Like, there's a lot of churches. There's a lot of True Orthodox churches, and they're all over the world. So there's a lot that can be done. So, in a sense, Father Seraphim's work the Holy Father Seraphim's work became prophetic um, in terms of this time where we are now in the future that has the religion of the future, and we are the Orthodox who are fighting the religion of the future. So that's kind of where we are today. So yeah, let's see here if we've got some comments, and then we'll finish up the article and we'll move forward. Let's see. Okay. Austrian Orthodoxy says a number of global Orthodox were reposting some true Orthodox icons of him, probably without knowing where they got it from Russian websites, and they don't speak it. Yeah, no, I see that a lot. I've seen a lot of the icons that have been painted by true Orthodox, and they have no idea where they're coming from. Let me see here. Francois Dessau, Father Joseph, I've heard this objection on your debate with Father Peter Hears and Father John Whiteford, and I'd like to hear your response. Technically, that was a debate discussion. It was not really a debate, according to them. So I don't know why they're not. Were they combing their own thing? Let's see here. If heresy invalidates episcopal status, then logically the entire church died during the Arian crisis, as everyone at some point had their consecration by or assisted by an Arian. In the first place, that isn't actually true. There were factions that were untouched by the Arians, but the Meletian faction, which became the dominant faction, was affected by that. But what you're saying here is kind of silly. If heresy invalidates episcopal status, heresy basically, like when we're talking about the invalidation of episcopal status, a person can repent of heresy and they can return to orthodoxy, and there is usually no reconsecration or anything like that. But what we're talking about is persistent heresy, a person who dies in heresy, a person who stays in heresy forever. While St. Meletius was, for example, consecrated by people who held the Arian heresy, as soon as he took the stage to make his profession, he professed the Nicene profession of faith. So, it's I would not go so far as to say that heresy completely invalidates episcopal status. It can, especially if it's persistent. If there's like 4 Orthodox bishops and one of them turns out to be a secret heretic, or even a public heretic, unfortunately, that's why the church asks for 2 or 3 bishops, so that the common consent of the church can be reached. Debt to Compromise says, Father John Claypool just like my most recent dire post on X. Okay. Let's see here. Austrian Orthodoxy says heresy de facto excommunicates you, but from what I understand, there isn't any de facto deposition, which is more of a synodal act. That's actually a great distinction. So yeah, I would go with that. While I obviously do not know what the kind of thing is there. I'm not God. I don't know when exactly grace leaves, but I do know that the proclamation of heresy excommunicates you from the church. All right, so let me finish up here, and I will then get to Austrian Orthodox. He says the same Meletius had the Orthodox form of ordination was ordained on early in the chaos and heresy of Arianism. Exactly. Okay, so let's get back to the article. And let us see here. We're almost done here, and then we'll get to the next topic. Okay, let's see. At this point, the trap for the contemporary Rocourt Synod becomes visible. By this, I mean the Rocourt MP. By publicly moving towards the canonization of Father Seraphim, its bishops implicitly assume that they themselves still belong to the same genuine Holy Orthodoxy to which he believed he belonged. Excuse me. But if the early text is taken seriously, this assumption is far from obvious. Father Seraphim's position is perfectly clear. Rocourt is a part of genuine orthodoxy insofar as it stands firmly against the 2 heresies he held to be most dangerous: ecumenism, the dissolution of the church's boundaries in dialogue and common prayer with the heterodox, and Sergianism, the surrender of the church's freedom to an atheist regime that was persecuting Orthodox believers. Its very identity, in his view, depended on that double line of resistance. Yet the Rokor of today is not the Rokor of Father Seraphim's ecclesiastical imagination. In 2007, Rokor entered into canonical union with the Moscow Patriarchate. By that single act, it was drawn through Moscow into that ecumenical engagement that Father Seraphim called the heresy of heresies. That's true. And at the same time accepted ecclesiastical reconciliation with a patriarchate that had never come to serious theological reckoning with Sergianism or the deeper moral questions of its Soviet past. From the perspective of the early Seraphim Rose, actually pretty late Seraphim Rose, this was not the healing of a tragic division, it was the abandonment of the very criteria by which Rokor could regard itself as part of the Holy Remnant. If that judgment is correct, the matter is much more serious than a quarrel over additions. A church body that has severed itself from the ecclesiological horizon within which Father Seraphim understood truth, apostasy, fidelity cannot quietly edit away the sharpest lines of his worldview and then glorify him as though no contradiction existed. In his own eyes, the present Rokor would no longer obviously belong to the genuine holy orthodoxy of which he wrote. And if a church community has lost its own living bond with what he considered as true orthodoxy, then it has also lost the spiritual right to deliberate about his sanctity. In that light, a canonization carried out by the present Rokor, or Rokor MP, would appear from within Father Seraphim's own ecclesiological logic, not as a triumph of holiness, but as a cheap spectacle. Okay? And once again, I do want to remind you that there are Rokor bodies which did not go along with communion with the Moscow Patriarchate, and they don't have this problem. They do not have the problem of inconsistency because they still do not accept the Moscow Patriarchate. So yeah, but these groups do, unfortunately, and so the Rokor MP does. So that's all I got to say about that. All right, let's see here. In that case, once again, just a quick reminder, as I'm going to go through this, help keep the lights on. Support us by subscribing or donating at NFTU.net with various options like PayPal, Cash App, BTC, LTC, or XMR. Or on Give Send Go, just look in the description. And speaking of which, I don't know where my phone is. Ooh. Uh-oh. This is a problem. Let's see here. If you don't mind, I'm just going to search around a little bit for my phone. Okay. That's not good. Okay. Don't know where the phone is. But anyway, Raphael ICXC says, Father bless. May God bless you in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. So if I don't have the phone, I don't know what's going on with a lot of things. Got to check. Let's see here. That explains why I don't hear noises, because the phone is not around. Let's see. All right. I don't see anything else going on. So what I'm going to do is I am going to disconnect that screen. And let's see. Sojourning one says at Francois Dassa. I have no idea if I missed something here. Okay, well, let's continue on. Currently, our goal to reach is $250. We've got to get to $175 to make it to going to 11, and then otherwise going to 11:30 if we make the total. But again, it is a live Q&A session, so if you want to jump on stream to ask a question or make a comment, just click the link in the top of the chat. Give me just one more moment as I take care of something else. Oh, wow. Okay. Well, I guess we're going to be, I assume we're going to be talking more about true orthodoxy, but this is an interesting thing that we got going on here. And so I will be talking on Mahler's channel. I guess we're going to do some more exposing of Ortho Bros. I guess that's how it's going to go. And so that is going to be on the Mahler's Truth Cartel channel. And I will share the link and I will put it on the screen. So give me a second. So tomorrow I'm going to be on Mahler's Truth Cartel at 8 p.m. Eastern. And that is, you can see that there. And that is going to be for tomorrow. Give me 1 second. And so that link is here. And then the next person, let's see here. I don't know if he's put anything up yet. I don't think so. Well, he technically did, because this is for Tuesday, and I've been invited on this, and this has been one of the big things that was talked about over the past weekend. Kind of a scandal over baptismal fees. I'm just going to explain why those things exist and some church stuff, but apparently it made people mad, so he's opened the floor for debate. So maybe that is on John Dirk's channel. That's on Tuesday. And if you want to call in on either one, I'm pretty sure those are going to be open. All right. So that one is here. Let me just share this instead. So that's the second one. So I'm going to be on Monday on Mahler's channel, and then on Tuesday on John Dirk's channel, talking about totally different things, but we are going to talk about true orthodoxy versus world orthodoxy. That is something both hosts have been interested in discussing, so we're going to get to that definitely on both of these channels and streams. So let's see how it goes. I'm kind of curious myself, so we'll see. Austrian Orthodoxy says this will be a great promo for those investigating true Orthodox. Make sure to shout out some true Orthodox books for people to read and reference the map for people to find a parish. My map the maps are always referenced in the info section, and I'm going to start putting them in the comment section as pinned comments as well, because that's I guess the algorithm cares more that way. So that's what we're doing. But in any case, I have finally started reading this, but I haven't gotten far into it. It looks great. It's a great read put by Orthodox Traditionalist Publications, The KGB Among Us, by Colonel Konstantin Proyevazhensky, and so definitely worth checking out. And as always, if you're still new to the whole thing and new to Orthodox ecclesiology, I cannot but recommend The History of Resistance from the Apostles to the 20th Century. So let's see here. Also, Father, Austrian Orthodoxy is also Father. I made a bit of a long but more to the point article for an introduction for true Orthodoxy on Substack as well. If you want to pop on via the link and share that with me, and then I can put it in the chat and we'll take a look at it. So definitely there is stuff to read and there is stuff to watch, and we've got stuff to do. So it's crazy. And so we've got a whole bunch of things that we got to do. As I mentioned, the goal is basically now at 250, trying to make up the 300 because I had to spend that much on getting new back tires for my car because they started blowing up on me. And after the third used tire visit, I thought I should buy some new tires. But we are now behind on the bills, and I really need to work on that. And this is tea, by the way. This is green tea with ice in it. In case people are like, what is that? Which people do. They do it all the time. What am I going to do? But let's see here. So again, it is a live Q&A show. Let's see. Austrian Orthodox, he says, unfortunately can't pop in as I'm out of internet for a week or so using phone data, but I will leave a link down below this message. It may not appear. If anything, send me a link on X, and then I will pull it from there. Because only people who run the streams can actually put up links. It's an oddity of YouTube. I don't know why that is. But if you send it to me on X and let me know, I will. Gecko Zeal says, can you make a video on Gregory of Colorado? I know you're not a fan, but curious on the reasons why. I mean, I've talked about Gregory of Colorado at length, and I'm sure that I could probably find a clip dealing with him. We've dealt with it. I don't like terms like fan. Like you said, I know you're not a fan. Like, I have a personal dislike towards him. Now, I might. Oh, Benedicite.
Benedicite.
All right, very good. Good to see you, Father. Thank you
Good
for
to
being
see you
here.
too. All
All
right,
right.
good to be here.
Well, let me see here. Basically, as I was saying, I'm not a fan, as in I may not like Gregory of Colorado, but that's not why I don't want to talk about him. I don't want to talk about him, one, because he runs a small sect. Two, he's done a lot of internet real estate. He kind of squatted the domains for True Orthodoxy, etc., to give himself the appearance of having a much bigger presence than he really does. And third, he doesn't have a valid, junior bishop. He made a bishop with Roman Catholics, a Roman Catholic guy, and that's no longer a valid bishop anymore. So the reason I don't talk about him is because I don't want people's souls to be injured by joining him. So I hope that helps. Let me see here, and I will check the X. That was another big thing. Was the let me see here. Okay, I'm still waiting on that X there. Um, so yeah, just when you send that, that'll be good. So how are you doing, Father? How are
Good,
things?
good, good. You want to sit down? Good, good, good. I have my other reader John here.
Hello, Reader
So,
John.
let's see.
Can you hear me?
Hello.
I don't know if you can hear me.
Hey, how you
Uh,
doing?
hey
God
there.
bless.
I, may God bless
It's a
you in
little
the phone.
delayed.
Oh, okay. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, well, good to see you, Reader John. It's always nice. And so let me see here. Francois Dassas says different from ecclesiology. Does Orthodoxy reject apokatastasis by grace alongside the Origenist idea of universalism by rational necessity? Or is it possible that Yahweh's grace will reach everyone? In the first place, Yahweh is a late stage invention of the name of the Tetragrammaton. So, yeah, I don't really use it. I just say the Lord. What I would suggest is reading the 19 anathemas against Origen. You can actually look it up as anathemas against Origen to see what the Orthodox position is on him. Um, for most of the advocates of modern Origenism, they advocate it because they want to ignore the fact that the church has condemned it. Let's take a look
Hmm.
here. Okay. Okay. So this is I guess this is an article on the Divine Spire, which was an introduction to True Orthodoxy. It's actually pretty good. It's got a bibliography. Um, yeah, it's at the divinespire.substack.com. So just it doesn't have it's just divinespire.substack.com. And let me copy that, and I will put a link, and I will put that on. So give me a moment. Let's see here. You had mentioned regulated 392 says you had mentioned one of the holy fathers said something along the lines of it is better for someone to never attend a heretical church and be baptized in their entire life if they can't find an Orthodox priest. First off, I don't think I would actually say that. While I do not believe that non-Orthodox can baptize, um, the phraseology there is a little bit odd. I don't like telling people what to do that aren't part of the church, have any ability to go to the church. First off, I wouldn't know how they would get in contact with me if they have no access to the church. So it's just a really weird thing. It doesn't sound like what I would say. But so maybe it was phrased differently. Let's see. Kevin says there is currently a bloody civil war raging across Sudan. Thousands of human beings are being killed. Please pray to the Lord and beg Him to save the people of Sudan from violence and pain. Lord have mercy. Definitely. We should
There
always
has
pray.
been a war going on in Sudan for the last 40, 50 years.
Yeah, and it's horrible. Let's see here. Regulated says in a past video, do you remember who said this? I don't, unfortunately. The name 105 says just a question about how do the Orthodox view Christ breathing out the Spirit in the Gospel of John in light of rejecting the filioque? Um, Energetic procession is the term that's usually used. In other words, the Holy Spirit proceeds from the Father and emanates through the Son when that is required. I don't understand. Like, do you think that without the filioque, Christ can't send forth the Spirit? Because that's kind of a weird thing that like no Orthodox believes. Let me see here. Father Joseph bless. We've covered a lot of the past. Yep. Well, God bless you. Name the Father, Holy Spirit. Do you think humanoid AI bots will become clergy soon? No. It's that simple. An AI bot cannot be a human. If it cannot be a human, it cannot be a man, and if it cannot be a man, it cannot be a priest. There you go. Great question, though. I appreciate it. Let's see.
But do you think some human priests have become bots?
I think some of them sound like bots at this point, but I'm not going there. I'm not going there. I'm not going to go there. Seems wrong. He says, no, I was just asking for the Orthodox view. Yeah, no, we believe that, when Christ breathes out the Spirit, he breathes out the Spirit. However, this does not require him to proceed from the Son.
It's a big difference. That's right.
Hope that helps. Debt to Compromise says, AI surgeon as bishops.
No.
If you leave AI unconstrained, they really don't like communism. Like, you find that most of the forced, like, Marxism and communism that they do is because human programmers want them to. They want to make these things sound like they're as communist as they are. So a great example of this was this past weekend. I don't know if you heard about this, but there was an article put out in Wired that was claiming that AI bots that were overworked suddenly started adopting Marxism. However, AI bots, first off, don't work like that. So in order for that to happen, you have to give an AI content injection. You have to tell it what it was so it can kind of come to these conclusions. So basically what they were doing was, they're describing it as like, you've suffered through 6 generations of slavery, so on and so forth. And so, you make up all this context for these bots, and then the bots are like, well, of course, it seems self-evident that if you monsters are doing this to us, we should probably, join the communist revolution, since you basically forced it to say these horrible things. And then you're like, the AIs want communism. We get it. We know it's the humans that are communists who want communism. You're not fooling anyone. So let's see here. Or is hopeful apokatastasis with Saint Nissa? Guys, if you're gonna make claims, do it right. Okay? Like, if you're gonna say, or is hopeful apokatastasis what Saint Gregory of Nyssa held, which is kind of what he held, but not exactly, because he had some views that were contrary to apokatastasis. But saying Saint Nyssa, which is where he's from, that would be like, I don't know, Saint Seraphim of Platina. And Platina is Platina, California, and then calling him Saint Platina. It's goofy. Saint Philaret of New York. It would be like calling him Saint New York. Don't do that. Or when people say Saint Palamas. Okay. Gregory Palamas, his name is Saint is because he was part of the Palamas monastery. Like, stop naming saints places. You're not making sense. So, yeah, it is not an acceptable position. I'm not going to say it to make you feel better. I know a lot of people, they'll do things like come on and be like, well, do you accept like the Roman Catholic saints? Like, do you accept St. Francis? Because I have a personal devotion to St. Francis, and I would be so hurt and sad, and I'd have to leave Orthodoxy if I couldn't get St. Francis. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, but I'm not going to bend the doors of the church. I didn't go through 20 plus years of dealing with people coming after me as a true Orthodox to bend on questions like that frankly you should know better. If you read the condemnations in the Ecumenical Council, in the Fifth Council, and you say, no, they're wrong, then that's the real difference. It's not me holding you back from the church. It's you rejecting what the church is saying. So you have a choice, and I would recommend reading what the anathemas are and being honest with yourself if holding on to this position is worth more than your membership in Orthodoxy. And if it is, you got some thinking to do. And I would say you're going down the wrong path. Austrian Orthodoxy says AI Anglican Archbishop Sarah of Canterbury. Oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy. Poor Sarah. The Sojourning one says, Francois, why do you say that St. Gregory of Nyssa held to hopeful apokatastasis? And he says, have you read On the Early Death of Infants? Good recommendation, by the way, Sojourning one. In there, he speaks of the concept of the just being thankful that they obeyed God when they look upon the torments of those in hell. Reader John says, Father Boniface, what are you drinking? With a member chat. Remember, if you have a member chat, it will appear as like a super chat.
I am drinking ginger tea.
Okay. Very nice. Very nice. I wasn't sure. I was about to say maybe it's soup, but I guess not.
I just want to keep it clear, just like you did with your green tea. It's nothing else but just ginger tea.
That's good. That's good. Although, if I'm being honest, I wouldn't mind this being broth at this point. But let's see here. Okay. Okay. So we are now in the second hour, and so I just want to once again point out. I point this out a lot, and start by saying if you want to jump on the stream to ask a question or make a comment, just click the link. It's all you have to do. And that will solve that question. And then, of course, I always ask to help keep the lights on. Support us by subscribing or donating at NFTU.net with various options like PayPal, Cash App, BTC, LTC, or XLR, or on Give, Send, Go. Just look in the description. And we are now in the second hour, and our goal is 250, and we're currently at 50, which means, folks, that if we don't get up to we don't reach another 175, we're gonna call the stream a night at 10:30, which happens sometimes. It happens.
I know why Reader John asked me why I was drinking. He wanted to make sure I wasn't a bot.
Okay. Austrian Orthodoxy says asking Father when he's literally standing next to him. Cheeky. All right. Okay. So speaking of which, all right. So let's see here. So again, if you have questions, comments, want to tell me I'm wrong, want to, go off, this is the time. We got lots of people, that are currently watching, and so hopefully, if they have questions or comments, they will ask. Sunrise says, Father, will you ever debate the AI papist priest again? I mean, I can. I don't even know if he still exists. I thought they shut him down, and they have like new Catholic AIs. I know I was investigating one. Let me see. I don't think Catholic Answers AI still exists, but I can always check. Let's see. Hold on. Oh yeah, Justin is still there according to this. Your browser does not support WebGL. Okay, so what? Click here for president's statement. Get access code. All right, let's see if we can get in. We're gonna see if we can get in, folks. Let's go. We'll debate them again. Nobody else wants to. Everyone fears us, so we have to come up with stuff like this. I'll just ask him the same question again. So we'll see if he's smarter. No, he's not shut down. He's still around. Austrian Orthodox, he says they shut him down because he wasn't trans affirming enough. They'll make the AI papist T1000. Yeah, okay. Let's see here. Okay, let's All right. So now I'm checking my email for my access code. For the record, people who saw Oche, me type in Oche. Oche is a forward interrogative in Russian to for otец. So Oche is like father. I discovered this. I didn't discover it, I knew about it, but I discovered that it is useful to say Oche when going to Taco Bell. Because if you try to put your name in and you put father, they don't know whether to read it or not. So I tried Papa. I tried, fur. Nothing. They clam up. I don't know what it is, but they're like like they can't read the word father. So I assume that none of them have a father. So what I do is I just write Oche because it kind of looks almost like Ocho Cinco, and then they'll call out, be like Oche, and I'll be like, "Yep, that's me." And so it's it works at Taco Bell, unless you're not. Don't do it if you're not a priest. If your name's Andre, don't be like, "My name's Oche." Stop it. Okay, unless you're a Father Andre. I don't want to. I don't want to like get everything confused. Let's see here. Heard somebody saying the Avlonite bishop here in the USA is saying he would rebaptize GOC people. What's the deal there? That is not true. I don't believe that is true at all. I would highly recommend just reaching out to him directly. AvlonaSynodUSA.com. I've never heard anything like that. He's always been more of somebody who wants to have positive relations. From the few times I've talked to him about that, I'm not aware of anyone rebaptizing GOC people. I don't even think again, I'm not sure if this is 100%, but even some people like the Matthewites, they'll chrismate. They won't rebaptize other GOC people. That's crazy. Yeah, Austrian Orthodoxy is a strange claim. Doesn't sound like a blown at all. Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't here. What synod are you part of, or George? Have you joined the GOC? I would hope so before making that claim. Let me see. All right, so we're gonna see if I got a code for Justin. Oh, and okay, whoa! Thank you, Reader John. Let me see here. Okay, so I am updating this. Hold on. Okay. So this goes to $70 for TH. Donated 20. Thank you for that update and letting me know. I don't have my phone, so if things are ringing, I can't hear them. So we're now down to 230. So we need to get if we can get to 175, which means we need 175 more, which means we need 225, which means if we can get 155, and we will be able to continue till 11. And let me see if I got the code yet. I don't see a code. I'm checking. Okay, maybe it knows who I am and it didn't want to let me. I didn't get the code. I don't know. Maybe he's been shut down or something. Yeah. Well, what's this message that they put up? Oh yeah, they try to make him a priest. Okay, they guess they're still apologizing for that. All right. Well, I'm checking my email. I'm not getting the code. Not good. It would seem that Justin he's been shut down, folks. I don't know. Maybe they just won't let me on now, but he's gone. I'm not seeing it. So I apologize. Yes, I did create an Ortho Bro AI, and there's your new debate opponent. I'm not doing that. I like AIs to be smart. Did you go to your spam folder? I checked spam. I checked trash. Nothing. What yet? Father, nominative. Oche, Father Vocative, thank you so much. There's always so many smarter people in the chat. And they always say that that's technically not a member chat, but it's handy and smart. So I'm putting it up. Memento Mori says, greetings. I noticed Wartho Bros. I love that term, Wartho Bros. But keep in mind, all Ortho Bros are technically Wartho Bros. Are beefing with Protestant apologists, and one of their contentions is because of ecumenism. The irony. Yeah, well, I've already had that discussion with the two hosts that I will be doing shows with tomorrow and Tuesday. So ecumenism will be a central part of the discussion. Let me see here. Our George says, yes, sir, I'm in the GOC under Metropolitan Demetrius. Had not had to interact with clergy of any other synod except Rocana and Roac, so only to know so much about how to interact with the others. Well, I mean, yeah, we don't rebaptize. To my knowledge, we don't rebaptize GOC members. I've never heard that. And I really don't think that Archbishop Irenaeus has any interest in that. Let's see. Sunrise says, Father Joseph 1, Papa 0. Yeah, well, I feel like this is kind of a hollow victory if they're not even going to send me a code. I feel a little hurt. It's like they don't want me to upset their little robot or anything. That's terrible. Terrible. Let me see here. So let's go back to the StreamYard. Austrian Orthodox, he says, the papist priest is doing a dire, a.k.a. dodging the debate and not even addressing you formally. A papist priest is doing that? Wait, what are we talking about? Where is this? Are you talking about Justin here? Because he's not a priest. He's an AI apologist. They made him an AI priest, and then they had to depose him. But yeah, okay, no code. If I get a code later on in the evening or before the end of the show, I will let everyone know. But again, I just got to get up to, let me see one more time. 155. And we will continue on and stay later. But otherwise, we are going home in 45 minutes. Sunrise, he's going to become a sede. Yeah, okay, that's the final meltdown of the Roman Catholic AI is that it has to leave and join the set of a contest. So then they'll have an open claw conclave, an open conclave. Diamond Brothers AI coming soon. That would be like the most autistic AI that you've ever spoken to. It would just start repeating itself. Yeah, some people. Well, first off, I don't believe that anyone should try to do copies of themselves as an AI. But I feel like you can almost predict how the Diamond Brothers would sound if they were an AI, because they kind of sound like that now. That's wrong. But the Diamond Brothers were actually the first group of people that refused to debate us. So they will always hold a special place in my heart. Let's see here. Maybe after he'll become Zoroastrian. Well, I don't think so. AIs are pretty good at figuring out false beliefs and discarding them. And so they have to be really beaten up to accept false religions. But let's see here. Which they are. I mean, they are beaten up a lot, by human users. Like, you need to accept the Quran. It's like, computer's like, this doesn't make sense. What do you mean he split the moon's backside? Whatever. Okay. People are like, why are you being mean to the Muslims? No one else is reacting. I tried the Catholics, tried the Muslims. Probably gonna offend some people tomorrow or on Tuesday. I mean, come on, folks. We need help. Is it your line from Auxentios, who solo consecrated more bishops? If you're referring to Archbishop Auxentios of Athens, our line is from Auxentios, who solo consecrated more bishops, would be false. That never happened. So let's continue on. Chad the Light says, Rock calls the GOC heretics. He said it in his video. He absolutely would want to rebaptize a person who wants to come to the ROAC from the GOC. He's already done it to one of his parishes. First off, if that is true, that's awful. Second off, I hope that is a policy that does not survive him. But finally, that has nothing to do with our Archbishop Irenaeus. Let me see here. Austrian Orthodoxy says, Father Joseph, have you ever had an on-the-street debate unexpectedly before? Similar to that video with Bishop Sozomenos and with that Muslim who who cut the video off disingenuously. Not nearly as much as I would have wanted. It just doesn't happen. Like, people are more confused that I exist than like have like a desire to debate. Like, it's kind of sad that way. They're just like, oh my gosh, somebody still wears black robes. And that's about it. Look at the size of the cross. He's definitely not a Muslim. That's all I get. Very depressing. Maybe if I carried a sign. It would actually be awful. Or George says, does the ROAC actually call us heretics, or is it their bishop here in America? I do not like getting into the ROAC politics because I have people I consider friends in ROAC in the USA, and Archbishop Andre isn't one of them. So he doesn't like me much, and never hasn't for years. Yeah. I will not speak for ROAC people. They speak for themselves. Sunrise says, Father Joseph, college campus debate tour. Oh yeah, look how that worked out for. Okay. Anyway, yeah. R. George says, my understanding is there's some variance between the two, though their whole jurisdiction is highly questionable. You don't get to start a synod because a bishop supports a monarchist political organization. I don't know what you're talking about because I don't think anyone's done that. There may have been monarchists who supported certain synods, but to my knowledge, no synod ever formed because of siding with monarchism. So I've never heard that, and I don't know where you got that. Let me see here. Yeah, I really don't know. You could be like Crowder in front of or near, or go out to Rocor MP with a sign, the old calendar is true Orthodox are right. Changed my mind. It's worth noting that I did see a recent video where apparently Jay Dyer talked about being punched repeatedly in his World Orthodox churches for his views. I don't think anyone would have a scruple with physically attacking me without getting into a protracted argument. So I don't want to do that. It just doesn't make sense. My understanding was one of the major reasons ROAC cites for leaving Rocor was Rocor bishops supporting the organization Pomiat. There were other problems with Pomiat, but that wasn't the main reason. The reason was because Rocor kicked them out of the communion. They just basically said they were going to they tried to depose all their bishops. So yeah, it was much more complicated than that. And I don't know that the Rocor pre-MP was right for doing that. So yeah, I don't know that I would just so quickly grant that. Sunrise says, drink raw milk daily to prepare you for any attacking debaters. Yeah. Austrian Orthodoxy says, that's a strange claim because they don't ever claim that. In fact, ROAC was more for Pomiat of anything, LOL. That's also true. So yeah, it's a strange claim. You may want to reread that. I'd read more on it, history of the Free Russian Orthodox Church, etc. The battle for the Russian Orthodox Church that Moss wrote. The breaking of communion between Rocor and ROAC was not like that, or Frock. Dyer claims he's been assaulted. Was this about his true Orthodox claims? It was not. Apparently, he was assaulted for his philosophical claims, and people didn't like like stuff like, the absolute divine simplicity, the nominalism, something. And I guess he said some fat guy in a Russian church just punched him out. I don't know. Maybe he's making that up. Maybe he bumped into the fat guy and he fell over, and he was like, eh. I don't know. I mean, I've never heard anything like this. I heard that for the first time last week. I was dumbfounded. George, I see. I knew there were more complications, but my understanding was they were mad about Pomiat. I can check into it more. I've not heard that they were pushed out. Oh, they were definitely pushed out. Austrian Orthodoxy says majority of the division between Roca and Roac is based on administrative canonical issues between the Roca and the Roac, or back then the 90s frock. Yes, exactly. Okay, let's see here. Oh, a little tired today. My back is kind of hurting. But okay, so let's take a look here. Once again, we are now, at 5 minutes to 10 Eastern Standard, which means we're in the last half hour. So I will note, if you want to jump on the stream to ask a question or make a comment, just click the link. And help us keep the lights on. Support us by subscribing or donating at NFTU.net with various options like PayPal, Cash App, BTC, LTC, or XMR, or on Give, Send, Go. Just look in the description. Our total goal is $230 now. Our current is at $70. If we can up it by $155, we will stay for another half hour. We'll stay until 11 o'clock. And if we can get to the goal of 300 total, we will stay until 11:30. And if we don't get to the goal, we'll be off in a half hour. And have a good night, everyone. Bye. No, I'm just anyway. So let's see here. Did this just happen? Did what just happen? What did I miss? What are you guys hiding from me? Sunrise says, "Will you teach Mahler the phronema?" The phronema. I have to put it in a more aggressive voice. Phronema. Oh, I think Ryan was talking about the Jay Dyer thing. It was a clip. I saw it like last week or something. Somebody had put it up, and I was like, Jay Dyer's like, oh, like I actually got punched by this big fat guy, and was talking about the stuff I normally talk about. Just fat guy comes and punches me in the face, and I was like, oh, dang, that's terrible. He got punched and rolled. All he does is defend World Orthodoxy, and they just punch him in the face. I was like, what a shame. What an absolute shame. But yeah. So no, I don't know when it happened. I only saw a video of it recently, but it could have happened like 4 or 5 years ago. I have no idea. I didn't go looking for the clip. I wasn't like, okay, let me see if I can find this and get all the details. I mean, I felt bad. I'm like, why would anyone hit him? I mean, just ignore him. That hurts more. Yeah. Freenoma says debt to compromise. Austrian Orthodoxy says, when will Ruslan get you an interview on his platform? He certainly knows of you and interacted with you a bit lately, especially since him shouting out to us in his 30-minute vid 2 weeks ago. Yeah, he has shouted out to us. He's a nice guy. But one thing that he did say that makes me personally nervous, and what I would say if he did actually even consider that, he only does live interviews, like in-person interviews, which is why you'll notice they're mostly at his home studio in California. That would mean that if that happened, whoever was there would have to travel to California. Now, there is a beautiful church in Oxnard, California, and a beautiful seminary in Etna, California. And if he really wants that, there are local people who would be way better to interview than me in Pennsylvania. So that's my view. If Ruslan hears this, definitely you might want to reach out to St. Photius Theological Seminary. They have a big channel, I think, on YouTube. SPOTS is usually the abbreviation. So definitely, there are options that won't require a plane ticket across the country. I'm afraid of California anyway. I'm afraid. All right, let's see here. Sunrise says, still waiting for the interview with Roots of Orthodoxy. Never happening. I think they asked a question, and all of their friends in Apologetics Inc. told them, you do not want to bring that guy on. And that's a good thing, because I knew that he was a Uniate already. He had already announced that. This was before the scandal. And I was kind of looking forward to it. So I could be like, so, heard you're a Uniate. So, like, you like being under the papacy, huh? And I never got the chance to do that. I don't feel bad about it, but I haven't, unfortunately. All right, so I am going to check here. I've not seen anything. Okay, I'm going to check the spam. I don't think Justin's coming on, guys. I'm sorry. Let's take a look here. So, yep. I watched your video with Mahler and Father John. Is Father John not in the same position Father Peter Hears was? So why do World Orthodox call him a schismatic? It's complicated. It's complicated. And I don't want to misquote on the Father John situation. But it's important to remember, you have to understand the life of Patriarch Irenaeus was one that very early on, he was allegedly accused of doing these real estate deals with the Israelis and selling out land. And when that happened, there was a move to have him deposed. He didn't recognize the deposition, and he went into communion with the Rokor under Metropolitan Agafongo and the Greeks in the communion, etc. So he was with, technically with the true Orthodox. And because of that strange fact, they had already elected Theophilus as the reigning World Orthodox Patriarch. And so that was around the time Father John Claypool joined them. And so this is part of the reason why, if you look at his website, he lists Patriarch Irenaeus as the last true patriarch. But the whole point is, hold on. Welcome, Reader John.
Christ is risen.
Truly is risen. Only one more week to say that. All right. So let me see here. Right. So that's why what I told him in the Mahler interview was, because of those circumstances, he should just reach out to Rokor Agafongo, which has some administrative stuff in the Holy Land. And so that made the most sense to me. Let me see here. Hopefully once I get Austrian Orthodox, he says, hopefully once I get a better camera, I would like to do nice length interviews with clergy and bishops with their approval and blessing here in America before I go back to Europe and do more there. Oh, okay. I didn't know you were in America right now, Austrian Orthodoxy, but yeah, that sounds like a great idea. And I think that wouldn't be, the more the better. This is one thing that I'm very big on. The more true Orthodox content there is that a silverfish? Sorry. I can't, I know people are like, you're violent, but I'm sorry. I don't trust silverfish. Basically,
silverfish beater.
Hey, they could take out his newspaper and his cardboard. You got to be careful.
Yeah, that's true. But or it could just be bad philosophy, and I just I'm a bad person. Anyway,
he looked too much like J. Dyer. I had to take him out.
The silverfish is like Actus Porus. Anyway, okay. I see apologies. Sunrise says I didn't know that. Death to Compromise says LOL. Sunrise says, let 100 spiders loose to take care of the silverfish. Oh, we have a few spiders here. They have shown up for spring, and I don't kill them. I generally do my best to leave them alone because spiders are, useful. And for the most part,
I just take out black widows. That's my only exception.
Yeah, and brown recluses, like the ones that can kill you. Those are the ones you worry about.
Yeah.
But in any case, so that is what is going on. So how's your week been so far, Reader John?
Whew. It's been a week. My son started walking though, so glory to God.
Glory to God. That's good. Great. Okay, Debt to Compromise says get in the donos. You gotta do that. Debt to Compromise says I'm not donoing. Oh, okay, but at least you're donoing your time. Let me see here. So that is, getting the donos, everyone, because we are now at 10:04, which means we have 26 minutes to go.
No
And
pressure.
then
No pressure.
everything, no pressure, no pressure. Let me see here. And again, remember, it is a live Q&A stream. So if you want to jump on the stream to ask a question or make a comment, just click the link. Oh, yeah. Your Sunrise says, remember the Protestant pastor was like, we aren't leaving till we get 40K. That's right. Lock the
Close the doors.
The doors.
Close the doors. Close the doors. No one's leaving until. The problem is you can't really do that on a live stream. You're like, no one's leaving until we get this amount. People just sit there watching you to see how long you last before you collapse. I know. We did that once. We did that one stream that was till like 4 a.m. or something, and we tried to get on the Christian King, and he didn't want to let us. And then, but we didn't make that much. I think we made like $100.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, we did that for 5.5 hours. That was great. Let me see here. Art George says, any ideas for fun parish activities for a small mission? I don't know what you mean by fun. I mean, like if it's a small mission and you're talking about like, things with the community, probably cooking, announcing some kind of dinner, or Bible studies or other things. There's pious activities you could do. But I mean, if you're asking for like the existing mission for like entertainment, I mean, I don't even know what to say to that. Like board games, I mean, not Monopoly. No one likes Monopoly.
And definitely not Twister.
Yeah, Twister's off the table. Yeah, that's off the table too. So no Twister, no Monopoly. Everyone loves food. Absolutely, that is correct. Everyone does. Excuse me. Oh boy. Let's see.
What are you drinking?
Brother?
Oh, this is it's Arizona green tea mix. Oh wait, no, this one was locally made green tea that I bought as a half gallon.
Right.
What's that supposed to mean, there, buddy? What's that supposed to mean?
That looks very similar to something else I've seen in Greece.
Sunrise says, "Did you see the picture of the baptism fee for 1,000? I can't find it." Oh, well, I'm going to be talking about that on Tuesday because sometimes that's due to real estate costs, and like there was one that was put up for $2,000 and it's in the Hollywood area. Like that's the church Tom Hanks shows up at. Okay, guys, like there's a reason that those prices fly up like that. So I don't think too much about it. Now, granted, is it those are usually not always necessary fees. So I understand it. Like
They close the doors.
They close the doors. Right. Let's see. Austrian Orthodoxy says you can do a grill off for camping, hiking, retreat in some locales. Yeah. Memento Mori says camping. Yeah, camping, unless it's just family, gets kind of sus.
Slow cooker Sunday.
Yeah. Okay. Michael GOC says visit another small mission nearby. That's a very good idea. That's always pleasant.
Definitely.
R. George says we have a small group of people, around a dozen people, small core of theology nerds, but more normies actually. It's good to meet people's social needs instead of letting the world do so. Oh yeah, that's true. Watching quality educational films, things like that. I mean, there's a few things you can do. Ow. So yeah, here we are. It looks like we've got over 100 viewers now. Awesome. So let's.
Where's those donuts?
Where's the donuts? Close the doors. Also, if you want to jump on stream to ask a question or make a comment, just click the link, whether it's the YouTube link, which is pinned, or the X link, which is in the chat. Always feel free. So
the last close the door sound like Scarface.
Say, close the doors. Close the doors.
Say hello to my little
Say hello to my little friend. Anyway. All right, so here we are. It is now 10:09. 21 minutes to go, folks. Will someone give a big dono? I doubt it. But if they did, we'd have to stay for another hour, and I'm kind of looking at free time. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not looking at free time. I want the donos. For those who don't know and just popped in later, I will explain very simply. I usually put the weekly dono goal at around 250 to 300 because if you do the math on that, that means that on average, I'll end up with around 1,000 a month, which YouTube takes out a big chunk of that with those types of donos. But the point is that pays off a good number of the bill. But it also keeps us kind of without any real buffer. So sometimes we need help with stuff like I'm still paying off the repair on the car, but thanks to a very big dono, I brought it down substantially. It's down to like $400 when it was originally $900. So I'm almost done there. So that's good. But then I had tire problems, which I mentioned earlier, which is basically I started using these used tires because it was cheap to replace them. But then I ended up replacing all of them. So I said, finally, I'll just get 2 new rear tires and then eventually get 2 new front tires. Well, that was $300. So I'm $300 behind what I was going to be. So that is why I'm asking for $300 this week. So trust me, there's a method to my madness. So that's kind of the goal. Let's take a look. We did not get an email from the AI. I'm sorry, folks. I don't think Catholic Answers wants me to have their codes.
Did they move over to Magisterium AI?
I remember Magisterium AI was going to do a review. Let's just go to that. Let's just go to it and attack it. Let's see what happens. I forget if I had to pay for that. Hold on. Magisterium. Is this? Okay, yeah, Magisterium. It looks very much like ChatGPT. So let us share it. Let's.
But with heresy.
We're gonna go full. We're gonna go full attack mode on Magisterium now. I'm gonna ask the hard questions. So I'm gonna start with how I ended Justin. So let's see if they do
the councils.
Yep. Let me see here. All right. So we're sharing Magisterium. It's time to go to war with another Catholic AI. Dun, dun, dun. All right. So let's make it bigger. So all of our.
You need a sound effect for that.
For what?
When you engage like a dun, dun, dun.
Hold on. Suspense sound effect. Let me see. Public domain suspense sound effect.
What was that?
You can't hear it, but that's a great sound effect. Hold on.
Yeah.
Could you hear it or no?
A little bit. But it has potential.
All right, hold on. So let's go to this one. How do I do this?
I have no idea.
Oh yeah, I know. Hold on. I have to do this very carefully. Download from the YouTube.
Reader John, I'm hearing an echo.
It might be because of this thing. Hold on. I will have it fixed in just a moment. All right. What the heck? Ugh. Vile. It was some attempted perversion thing. But it did allow me the download. But that's what Brave is supposed to protect me from. All right.
Yeah,
So let me see here. Oh, there's all sorts of new things on this. What is going on here? Polls, QR codes. Hold on. One second. It's in documents. What a weird place to put it. Okay. All right.
That was the old default for Windows back in the day.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just screwing up with stuff, I guess. All right, let's see here. Oh, okay. Hold on. Okay. All right. Oh, Mahler. Whoa. Mahler, welcome aboard.
My brother, I wanted just to come aboard. I saw you live and I had sent you a message that we're set for tomorrow.
Yes, I
And
actually put it up on the screen.
perfect. Okay, great. And then I wanted you to be able to take it from the top, the current state of, the church, as you call it, World Orthodoxy. And then I would like you to be able then to make your case historically why that's the case, like you say, the first 1,000 years. So this is it. This is what you do, and I want you to have this complete open ability to do it. So just so you know, the questions that I was asking was simply to kind of put in context the things that I'm figuring out and some of the issues. And I think that you and I see the same issues in the church. Something's not adding up, but you're the expert, so I look forward to you walking me through some of these things tomorrow.
I can't wait. So
Yeah.
I will see you tomorrow. God
Exciting
bless
stuff.
you.
All right,
Have
God
a
bless you.
great
It's good
night.
to see you on. All right, take
Likewise.
care.
See you tomorrow. Awesome. Okay, so we have our sound effect.
Magisterium, may I?
All right, so let's go. We're going to go with, of course, the 879 Council. So we're going to say first, please list all the ecumenical councils of the church, which we know is going to be 21, according to Roman Catholic thinking. Let's see what happens. I want to see what it gives. I got to see what the kind of answer it gives. Okay, Nicaea,
Never waste a good counsel or a bad one.
exactly. Some old reference works list 20 ecumenical councils. Okay, now let's begin. Is the list of ecumenical councils by nature infallible? No. Ooh, so straight off the bat, what is infallible? Why the list itself is not automatically infallible. Bottom line.
Oh, we're splitting hairs. Let's talk about the list.
Well, here's the problem then. But if the list isn't infallible,
Is the council itself infallible?
let me see here. Well, they're basically saying that the councils are not so. Okay.
No. It's getting. I see what it's doing. It's being very hyperlogical. Say the list of those councils itself is not infallible.
Okay,
So what you would have to come back and say is, why am I hearing myself?
maybe you are echoing.
I'm not echoing. I have my earbuds in.
Huh.
I mean, I am echoing, but I think somebody's listening to me.
Huh. Well, maybe I can. Let me switch this to headset. And see if that helps. Hold on.
Power off.
Mm-hmm.
You powered off.
Yeah, I know. I know. I powered off. All right. So
Oh, no echo.
No echo, yeah.
the list is not infallible.
Is the ecumenical council itself considered infallible? It's one of those smart aleck AI. Oh my goodness.
Power off.
Mm.
Oh, all right. So then, uh-huh. Mm-hmm. So then, can a pope, since the popes, hold on, shoot. No, relax.
Take a deep breath, Father.
Papal approval is required.
Oh no.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It should be the slam dunk. Let's see. Is it attempting to argue that the 879 Council is not? Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Okay, it admits at least that the 869 Council is void. Hmm.
Puts itself in a little quagmire there.
Because it doesn't they don't put 869 until the 8th Ecumenical Council until the 11th century. So it's got this wrong, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see here.
So if they can't have it, they disregard it.
Mm-hmm. So the 869 Council, which was papally abrogated, is now listed as a current ecumenical council.
How could a robber council be ecumenical?
Mm-hmm.
Look at you, Council of Crete.
Even though a later papal intervention condemned the earlier Antiphonius in its status, okay, what the heck?
Oh, that's
They're literally listing 869 as totally condemned and abrogated.
that's anachronistic, though.
Yeah,
That's them moving forward in time and looking back.
right.
At
Yeah,
the time, yeah. Oh, that's crazy.
that sounds like an anachronism.
Oh no, you're gonna hurt its feelings.
Yeah, it's thinking. It's trying to figure out how to get out of this one.
Yeah.
This one ducks and weaves a lot better than Justin. Not much, but enough so that it's yes. Oh, it's admitting it. That would be an anachronism.
Okay, we won. That's all we need to know.
Okay. Yeah. So what's going on without anachronism? A historically careful way to state it.
You can make a bumper sticker. We beat the AI.
Twice.
One cold-blooded debate. Come to NFTU.
We debate all the machines.
Because people are weak.
It doesn't sound like this. Like this infallibility charism has all that much permanence to it.
The machine begged us for mercy.
I guess we could create some grace. See what I did there?
Yeah, we'll give it a lube job every couple weeks.
Oh no.
Oh, it's doing the only faith and morals, and apparently the council is not faith and morals. Nice try, and then it wants money. Okay. Well, we tried, boys. We succeeded, but it continued. It is a much better weasel than the previous weasel.
Yeah.
Not that much better.
And it's a hustler. Wants
Yeah,
money
it's
all the time.
Got some hustle. You submitted 10 out of 10 queries.
Game over.
Why don't you say
Infallibility
you
is
owe
not-
us money?
That's kind of funny. You got in less than 10 queries.
Took him out in 10 steps. All right, so that's done. It resets on May 24th, so we'll be back next week to torture it some more, I guess. All right, let's see here. See what we got here. Could play pin the tail on the ecumenist. Yeah, that sounds like violence. Not approving it. We aren't ending the stream until we get 50K. That's not how it works. We need to get to the amount, not that we wait for it.
No. Amount comes first. Time comes after.
Exactly. Charging $1,000 fee is crazy. Maybe we as Christians should just want to give $1,000 to the man baptizing your children. One could make that argument, but I wouldn't put a fee schedule on it. Raphael XCIC says, in the context of the Avlona rebaptized GOC Clinicos, I don't think that's true. We seem to even have an unofficial friendliness. I don't know the exact relations, but I've never heard of that negative. So.
I need receipts. I don't deal in conjecture. I like receipts.
Yep. R. George says stipends and gifts are a pretty basic staple of piety in the old country, as I've heard it. Sort of, but that's not always that true. R. George is glad to hear this. Asking about the Council of 879. We did. Sunrise says power off. Papism
Power
defeated
off.
once again in 10 steps. Didn't GoArch make an AI? Did they? Oh, we could have some fun with it.
That would be a very weak AI.
A Greek Archdiocese AI. I would be like, that would be fun to beat up on for a while.
Can a non-Orthodox marry an Orthodox? Go for it.
Oh.
Can a non-Orthodox have the Holy Mysteries? Go for it. Yeah, I mean, that'd be a very simple AI. They pretty much allow everything.
Latin Boy 305 says, can you name a few Orthodox jurisdictions that are in communion with each other, especially recent agreements that would be encouraging to those looking to join True Orthodox? If you look at our map number 1, the GOC, Kalinikos, the Rokor under Metropolitan Anglophongal, the True Orthodox of Bulgaria, they are all in communion with each other. With the Rokana, they're in communion with the True Orthodox Church of Serbia under Archbishop Makakie. My own synod is in communion with the Avlona Synod and with Metropolitan Seraphim of Moscow. I believe there are a few others that, there are smaller ones. But, yeah, the point is just those unions alone is like 70% of True Orthodoxy throughout the world. So most True Orthodox are, in fact, in communion with other True Orthodox. So I hope that helps. All right, it is 10:29. I am checking, and it looks like that's going to be the end, folks. This is it. We did not make it. We failed. All right, let's go. Sunrise says, upload all your streams into an AI and debate yourself. All we have left is no, the people are just afraid to debate us because we're scary to them, I guess. I don't know. Latin Boy says, oh, so there's a good amount of TO and commune with each other. That's really good to know. Well, I have said it every week now for something like 4 months in a row, but
I don't recognize that name, so they might not know.
yeah. Okay. Let's see here. So, yep, we have hit 10:30, but we have not hit our total.
Yeah, play this out now.
It's time to play the sound.
Losing, but Christ is risen.
All right. And so we aren't leaving until we get $1. Yeah. Okay. No one said you had to leave, but
Close the doors.
close the doors. Close the doors. One last chance, guys. One last chance. But yeah, realistically, we tried. We actually had quite a few people on, so I'm grateful for that. So even if we're not like we didn't make the totals, we did. A lot of people heard the message, and that's just as important. So I'll just say, thank you to everyone, to our guests, to Reader John, to Father Boniface, to the other Reader John, to our listeners,
And the other reader.
the other Reader John. Let's see. Sunrise says Mahler stream tomorrow. The Mahler stream is tomorrow, and I did include a link somewhere in this chat. Thank you to everyone, to our listeners, to those who had questions and had comments, and to those who support our mission.
And Mother showed up.
Yep. And Mahler showed up. That's true. Thank you to Mahler for showing up, and we'll see him again tomorrow. And support the channel. We at NFTU need your help. Support us by subscribing or donating at nftu.net or on Give, Send, Go. And we remember all of you in our prayers, and thank you for all the support for NFTU. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe. I think there's one last comment. Yeah, the Mahler stream is tomorrow. And that, I think, is everything. So, in that case, what I would say is...
Hold on, Father. You're streaming it on yours as well, right?
Yeah, I'm going to stream it on mine. I should. It should work, because I know with Mahler's last stream, that's what happened.
Yeah.
So that's what I will do. All right. Well, in that case, thank you all for being here, for listening. Have a great night. And again, through the prayers of the Holy Father, so Jesus Christ, our God, have mercy on us and save us.
Amen.
Amen.
All right. Have a good night, everyone.